I want to keep this somewhat to the point and focused on topic, but I want to talk about the shootings that have happened in the last week or so. So we had two mass shootings. We had one in El Paso, Texas, at a Walmart, and we had one in Dayton, Ohio, at a club or a restaurant or bar. Um, I don't have details in front of me. I've read everything about them. I'm not downplaying what happened, so don't freak out in that aspect. But I've seen a lot of craziness going on from people reacting to this, and all I'm seeing is emotional knee jerk reactions. I'm not seeing any legitimate reaction to it as far as people wanting solutions. One of the things that I keep seeing is people calling for firearms bans, bans on ownership of certain types of firearms, or background checks. The president's talking about strengthening background checks. Well, exactly what are you going to strengthen? And you know, you've got crazy Uncle Joe out there. He's talking about pushing for a government buyback program. Well, the government can't buy something back that they didn't purchase to begin with. So, I mean, that's basically a forced confiscation of your property with monetary compensation, which probably wouldn't even amount to what you had invested in your firearms anyway. So, you know, the main thing here is that with any of these actions, and there's really nothing that you can do to stop them. That does not make them acceptable. That does not mean that it's just something that we should live with. But we definitely shouldn't be trying to provide a false sense of security to people who just want something done and don't care what it is, as long as something is done, whether it prevents it or not. And that's what everything I see points to. It's people just wanting something done. It doesn't matter if it's going to prevent this from happening in the future. It's not going to bring anybody back. It's just, we want something done. We don't know what, but we want something done. So you want to talk about prevention, but and you want to blame an inanimate object. You want to blame firearms. You want to blame those of us like me. You want to blame those like your neighbors. You want to blame people who own firearms. You want to blame people who enjoy shooting. You want to blame people who manufacture firearms. None of those people are to blame for this. None of them. So let's talk a little bit about the confiscation idea, the forced buyback idea, forced federal buyback. The rhetoric that I keep seeing from people on the left is that they know this will work because it worked in Australia. No, it really didn't. They know this will work because this country doesn't have guns and they don't have this problem, and that country doesn't have guns. And well, you're talking about a completely different situation with other countries is what you are with the United States. One of the founding principles of the United States was that the people, the citizenry, have a means equal to that of the government to defend themselves in case of a tyrannical, oppressive government taking form, taking place, taking over. And it was never about hunting, because I see plenty of FUDs out there that are, oh, I don't need that to kill a deer. I don't need 30 rounds to kill a deer. It's not about hunting at all. It's absolutely not about deer hunting or game or anything like that. So just completely discard that. You have a culture in which firearms are so deeply ingrained that more people own guns than don't in the United States. So how exactly are you going to force a buyback program? How's that going to work? Send out letters and hope people turn them in? What's going to happen if because the reason I'm talking about this is because these are things that I legitimately see people propping up. I see people advocating for these things, but the people advocating for them, they don't have a grasp on the magnitude of what they're suggesting. So if we have a forced buyback, what is the next step? Because you know that you and I both know that people are not just going to, oh shit, they said that I need to sell my firearms to the government. Okay, here, just let me go do that. No, they're not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. Most of the people watching this video aren't going to do that. So what's the next step? I've actually seen some people on the left calling for a full-blown confiscation. They want to see door-to-door raids on people. They want to see their property confiscated by the government because these people deem it to be a danger to others when it's not. So those of you calling for a buyback program, confiscation is probably the next logical step. The only way to completely eliminate the ability of anyone, and I say completely, but it wouldn't even be completely. The only way to drastically reduce the ability of anyone in the United States being able to shoot another person with a firearm would be to have a full nationwide forced confiscation. Not a buyback, but a confiscation. One, we don't have the manpower for that. But if we did, let's say that would be who's gonna do it? Who's gonna knock on a door? Who's gonna kick a door in and confiscate someone's property? Who's gonna do that nationwide? So again, I'm addressing those of you advocating for this. Are we gonna have the police do it? Some of them will gladly do it, and some of them won't. So what happens in that scenario? You have some police who are more than willing to do it because they don't support the Constitution, and you have some police who absolutely refuse to do it because they support the Constitution. National Guard, maybe? Same situation. You have some that would obey those orders, and you would have some that would not obey those orders because they would view them as being unconstitutional. So let's say in a crazy scenario that did happen. These people are your friends, your family, random people you know, neighbors, total strangers. The blood that would be shed on both sides, you know that people would stand up to it. People would fight against it. You would have a lot of death of American citizens on both sides of that action. So those of you advocating for confiscation, are you willing to have the blood of all those people on your hands? Is that really what you want? Would the amount of blood spilled over something that really wouldn't be effective, would the amount of blood spilled be worth it in the end? I don't think so. I don't think so at all. Especially considering the fact that you can make a trip to your local hardware store and buy you can buy all of the components to make a functioning firearm from your local hardware store. And with very, very little technical knowledge, you can make a firearm. It's not something that you're ever going to be able to get rid of. It's just a much more effective way to throw a rock, to send a projectile, and take out a quote unquote enemy, whatever. So I'm not saying that we don't have any hope whatsoever of a solution to violence, but I am saying that most people are looking in the wrong places for those solutions. You can't blame everyone who did not commit the crime for the crime. You can't. It's not my fault. I didn't do it. I didn't pull the trigger. I didn't do any of it. Neither did any of most of you watching this video. It's ridiculous to think that for one person's crime that you're gonna blame everyone else, and to blame the president is just outright ridiculous. The left, the Democratic Party, some of whom I used to respect, but I mean it's gotten to the point where it's literally nothing but just screeching and fake outrage non-stop. It's absolutely like just everything, anything that this president does. I may not like it. I may not support some of the things that he does, but at the same time, I didn't support some of the things that Obama did either. And it's like the Democratic Party, the left, the majority of them have just absolutely lost their minds since Hillary was not elected president. They want to blame everything, literally everything, anything that they possibly can. They want to blame on this president, and it's not the fault of this president. And to call this president racist or white nationalist or white supremacist, it's asinine. It absolutely is. Grow up and actually look into shit and do some research on things for yourself, and stop being one of those people that just reads a headline and that's your news. Because the media, all news media, I don't care what outlet it is, but all news media is looking for clicks. They're looking for views. They're looking for sales. They will make a headline and spin it however they can to make it seem the most outrageous and get the most clicks, get the most views. What? That person did that? I can't believe that. And then you read the article and it's like, oh, yeah, that's not actually what happened. Yeah. But most people don't read those articles. They just read that headline. And they have this, it seems like we're regressing into a society where feelings mean more than facts. And I'm sorry, but feelings will never be more important than facts. Facts are absolutely the most important, especially when you're talking about stuff like this. Anyway, I just wanted to hit a short video here and talk a little bit about this. I'll have more coming up, more things that I want to discuss. I want to talk about the fact that we're in the middle of that we're hypothetically in the middle of a cold civil war. So anyway, that'll be coming up soon. But peace.